Hello, welcome to Verbling. Hi, I'm teacher Oakley. And in today's class, we're going to continue looking at perfect continuous tenses. Yesterday, we examined the present perfect continuous, and today, we're going to move on to past perfect continuous. We will learn how it is formed, and we're going to look at the various uses and/or special information, and we're going to practice forming our own sentences. So, prepare thyself to learn past perfect continuous. Welcome to the class, Victor. Hello.
Hey, hello. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? We're going to move on
I'm
to
good.
past perfect continuous. We will learn how it is formed, and we're going... Okay, thanks, Victor. Getting the massive echo. Okay, you got it under control. Thank you.
Now it's good. Sorry.
No problem. It's cool, man. All right. Welcome to the class, Jonathan. Hello.
Hello, teacher. How are you?
I'm good. How are you today?
Very pretty, thank you.
Very what?
Well, thank you.
Very well. I thought you said very pretty.
Yeah.
You're very pretty today, Jonathan?
Very well today.
Oh, my. Okay. Just joking. Hello, Angel. Hi, Angel.
Hi, teacher. Hi, teacher. How's it going?
It's going okay. How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you.
Very good. Welcome to the class. All right, gentlemen, let's get started. Again, we're going to examine past perfect continuous tense. Let me just throw up a screen share here. Come on now. There we go. Okay, here we go. Okay. Here we go. Past perfect continuous. The form is always the same. Had been plus the present participle of the main verb, that is the ing continuous form, the ing form, like waiting. All right, so had been and the ing form. For example, you, subject, followed by the verb construction, had been waiting there for more than 2 hours when she finally arrived. Okay. In the question form, as ever, we invert or reverse the subject, which is you here, and the first auxiliary. These verbs, okay, in all these different English verb constructions, all right, you're always going to have a main verb for sure. Obviously, in simple tenses, you don't need any auxiliary verbs, but perfect and perfect continuous tenses, you have these extra words to help you form the different verb tenses. These are called auxiliaries. All right, in the question form, you reverse the first auxiliary and the subject. So, had you been waiting there for more than 2 hours when she finally arrived? And finally, the negative form, in which the negative not comes after the first auxiliary. You had not been waiting there for more than 2 hours when she finally arrived. Now, obviously here, in this last one, in written English, it's a good idea it's more formal to use full written form, but in normal speaking, it's much more normal and actually much more acceptable to use contractions like hadn't. You hadn't been waiting there for more than 2 hours when she finally arrived. All right, for example. Okay, even here in the first one, it would be normal to use you'd You'd been waiting there. You had the contracted form in speaking. Okay, so as we're looking at these different verb tenses, keep in mind that in speaking, it's much more natural, much more common to use contractions that come up, that are as they come up and as they're usable. All right, use number 1 for past perfect continuous, duration before something in the past. Okay, now looking at the little chart here. Okay. The past perfect continuous would be the okay, obviously we're using any continuous tense. The idea is to emphasize duration, length of time. So in this little diagram here, the past perfect continuous verb is represented by the green line here, and the blue X would represent an interrupting action, possibly an interrupting time. Okay. All right, so past perfect continuous, this green line shows something started in the past and continued up until another time in the past, the blue X. We can use duration phrases for 5 minutes, for 2 weeks. Doesn't matter the length of duration, it's irrelevant. For 10,000 years, for 2 microseconds. The length of duration is irrelevant, doesn't matter at all. Okay, notice that this is related to present perfect continuous, which we did yesterday. Present perfect continuous, however, ends at the present. So in past perfect, the duration does not continue until now. It stops before now. Stops before something else in the past, a time or an event or an occurrence in the past. Okay, let's look at examples, and then we're going to practice. Welcome to the class, Ming. Hello. How are you?
Hi.
Hey. Nice to see you. Okay, looking at various examples here. They, subject, had been talking for over an hour. There's your duration. Before Tony arrived. Okay. Obviously, Tony arrived is in the past tense, simple past. So this is also an action in the past. So this sentence describes 2 things that happened in the past, right? They had been talking for over an hour. And that continued until Tony arrived. Notice Tony arrived is in the simple past because that blue X there, Tony arrived, is a one-time. He arrived. Okay. So somebody arrives, they're there. That's it. A one-time action. Boom. You're there. That's Tony arrived is the blue X. Okay. Other examples. She had been working at that company for 3 years. There's your duration for 3 years. When it went out of business. Very common to see a clause starting with when using the past perfect continuous tense. It went out of business. Again, here's your blue X. Simple past, it went. Okay. Question form, how long had you been waiting to get on the bus? All right. Again, we've reversed the first auxiliary and the subject. How long had you been waiting to get on the bus? The duration is shown by the phrase how long. Obviously, this is a form, question form, interrogative form to talk about length of time. Always. Well, no, not always. Actually, okay. How long is your new boat? Is your new yacht? Ooh, it's a 23-footer. Obviously, I can use it to talk about describe size as well. But in this case, clearly it's talking about duration. All right, Mike wanted to sit down because he had been standing all day at work. Okay, again, here we see the blue X, the interrupting action. Mike wanted to sit down. Simple past. Again, we see it in the first phrase of the sentence, joined with because, to the second phrase of the sentence, second clause of the sentence. All right, he had been standing all day at work. All right, so notice your connectives, your conjunctions here. Okay, before, because, when. James had been standing at the university for more than a year. Okay, obviously, here's your duration. Before, here's before again, before he left for Asia. Again, simple past, the blue X. Okay, in a conversation, how long had you been studying Turkish before you moved to Ankara? Okay, now, obviously, in a dialogue, which is, this represents a dialogue, speaking between two people, dialogue. B answers, I had not been studying Turkish very long. Okay, he's not very direct with his duration of time, not very specific, but it doesn't need to be. All right. So, meaning to say that if sometimes in a conversation, past perfect continuous can be used if the time duration has already been spoken about or is quite obvious. Okay. All right, using this model, all right, past event that continues up until something else, possibly using connectives like before, when, because. All right, it's time for you guys to try using the examples to make your own sentences. So, Victor, you were first in. Give it a shot.
How long had you been reading that book chapter, or something like that?
Okay.
No?
Or something like that. Okay, the duration is given by using how long. Okay, question form. How long had you been reading that book chapter? Okay, usually you might say that chapter in the book.
Okay.
Okay. Now, of course, all right, if you look at this sentence, how long had you been waiting to get on the bus? Here we can assume, okay, we have a to get, we have an infinitive. We can assume that this person got on the bus in the past. It has already happened. With your sentence, how long had you been reading that chapter of the book? It's a little vague, Victor, because I'm not sure what the interrupting time in the past. What's the blue X? There's no bus coming. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So maybe it's unclear. It would be better to add some kind of clause like before, okay, before the test, before the exam, or something, for example.
Or before to sleep.
Okay, before you went to sleep. All
Yeah.
right, that would work.
Okay.
You went, simple past. Okay, that would work fine. How long had you been reading that chapter of the book before you went to sleep? Perfect. Okay, very good. Otherwise, you might want to use present perfect continuous. How long have you been reading that chapter?
Yeah.
That means, which of course would mean you're still reading the chapter. And it's obvious now. Okay. Angel, care to give it a shot?
Okay. it can be a question or a
Oh,
sentences,
anything
whatever.
you want. You can use any of these examples that are here. A question
Okay.
form, whatever you want. A negative. Go crazy.
I I I have been studying English. Uh, I have been studying English a year for a year
Hmm.
until I take that exam.
Okay.
Maybe.
All right. Close. But wait a minute. Uh, I had been studying English. Okay. So far, so good. And you remembered for a year. Very good. Okay. Definitely. Got our duration. And then what was the
Until
coordinator use? Until. Now this, I've been
I
studying. Okay.
until I took that exam.
Okay. I've been studying English for a year until I took the. Okay. I've been studying English for a year uh, until I took the exam. It's a little strange.
Yeah, I think because it's not the same time, or uh,
Well,
maybe
I question using until.
yeah,
I guess it's possible. I had been swimming for 4 hours until I got a cramp. No, I guess it's okay, actually.
yeah. It sounds strange, but it's good. It's okay.
I think it's grammatically it's okay.
Yeah,
Just a little strange. I would opt for before. I had been studying English for a year before I took the exam myself
yeah,
instead of until. Uh, okay.
yeah. We can
You,
say before.
yeah. I was waiting for 6 hours until he showed up. Okay. Jonathan, give it a try.
Yes, teacher. Okay. Had she been dancing for the last 2 hours after I went to the club?
Wait a minute.
She
What? Had
been
been dancing.
for the last 2 hours
Oh, here, this may be trouble, but okay. Okay.
after I went to the club?
After I went
Uh-huh.
to, okay, to the club. Now, wait a second here. Okay. Uh, we got a problem. Had she been dancing for the last 2 hours after I went to the club? So, and what's coming first here in this sentence? Which of these actions is happening first?
I think that when I went to the club,
Is first, right.
it's first, yeah.
So that doesn't really work because if you remember, our blue X comes after, at the end of the continuous. All right. You could fix that by changing after to before. Okay. Had she been dancing for the last 2 hours before I went to the club? All right. That means the dancing is first.
Yeah, yeah, before it's better.
Right. Uh, okay. Otherwise, had she been dancing for the last 2 hours after I had gone to the club? You might be able to do it with after I had gone to the club. No, nope, it's not going to work with after. This is problematic, so definitely you have to change this to before. Even moving the tense around of this clause. Okay, wait a minute. Had she been dancing for the last 2 hours? Now, uh, for the last 2 hours. I guess it's okay. All right, the last 2 hours, meaning the 2 hours directly before you went to the club. Okay, okay. I guess that's okay. All right, Ming, you want to give it a try?
Okay. How long had you been practicing guitar before you uh, became a rock star?
Oh, there you go. All right. How long had you been practicing guitar before you became a rock star? Okay, so you became a rock star in the past. Obviously, you were practicing before that. Yep. Okay. Great. It's pretty direct. No problem there. Okay, use. Number 2. The cause of something in the past. Notice our diagram looks exactly the same. Okay. So, in other words, what we're doing, we're basically using the verb tense the same way, but we're using the past perfect continuous to show cause and effect. So, for example, Jason was tired because he had been jogging. All right, so he was tired. There's our blue X. All right, still in the past. It's not now. It's not in the present. He was tired because he had been jogging. The green line, that's Jason jogging. All right. All right. Obviously, you're going to see these cause and effect are going to use connectives like because, or maybe a result clause. Maybe a reversal with so, of course, right? He had been jogging, so Jason was tired. Or Jason had been jogging, so he was tired. All right, obviously I can reverse the clauses by using so as a connective instead of because, still showing cause and effect. Betty failed the final test because she had not been attending class. Oh dear. Okay, same idea. Notice Betty failed. Okay, simple past. All right, cause and effect. Okay, let's try it again. Cause and effect. Angel, this time, why don't you try going first? Give me a sentence which shows cause and effect.
Cause and effect. Okay. I'm. Oh. Okay. If we have an example with title. Okay. I want. Uh, all the time today, all the time in my work, in my job.
Yeah.
I wanted to go out because I had not been sleeping
Aha.
enough for the last 2 nights.
Okay. All day at work, I wanted to go out. All right, and that's you're speaking as if this is in the past, not now, because I had not been sleeping. Okay, negative. Had not been sleeping the last 2 nights. Okay. Yes, that does show cause and effect. Yeah, good job. Very good, Angel. Nice.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. Really? Is it really in the past? You all day earlier, you're not at work now. It's a nighttime, right?
No. In the afternoon, I just wanted to go out
Yeah,
and sleep.
right. Where are you, Angel?
Right now?
Yeah. No, I mean
I,
you're in Mexico. You're in
oh yeah,
Utah,
I'm from Monterrey, Mexico,
Monterrey. Oh, nice. Okay.
south of Texas.
Right. Okay. Cool. Okay, so it's nighttime there. That's all I was trying to. I was trying to
Yeah.
figure out, Angel. Actually, without asking, I was trying to figure out if you were still at work. But never mind. I'm sorry. Okay. Sorry. Never mind. Jonathan, cause and effect. Okay. Use it.
Okay, teacher.
Yeah.
Ricardo was tired because he worked hard yesterday.
Okay. Wait a minute. Okay. First of all, Ricardo was tired. Pronunciation. Tired.
Tired.
Yeah. Because what did you say?
He worked hard yesterday.
Okay, pronunciation again. Worked. T sound. Work. KT.
Worked.
Worked. Yeah.
Worked.
Because he worked hard yesterday. Now, okay, there's nothing wrong with this sentence. All right. It's not past. Uh, it's not. Um, it's obviously not past perfect continuous. In fact, he was tired because he worked hard yesterday. There's nothing wrong with this sentence, but this sentence just uses two simple past.
Yeah, his simple past. Sorry, I made
Yeah.
another teacher.
Okay. Okay. You're going to make another or fix this one?
I will try to fix that.
All right. So,
Ricardo was being tired.
this is the result. Ricardo was tired, okay? So
Uh-huh.
Jason was retired because of his continuous activity, all right? Sam gained weight. That's the result because of his continuous activity, eating. Okay.
Okay.
So Ricardo was tired as a result.
Because, okay, maybe we can say Ricardo was tired because he has been worker today.
Okay. He has been, okay, working today.
Working, yeah.
Okay, now you've got another verb tense here. You've changed things. Whoops, working, whatever. Working today. All right. You've got another verb tense. What you've got now has been working. This is present perfect, continuous. All right. That means up until now. Because you have has or have is present perfect continuous. We use had with past perfect continuous. Okay.
Okay.
Ricardo was
Yeah.
tired. Okay, and we have to make this today is would have to go the word today would have to go with present perfect because actually the continuous activity continues until today. All right. So to make this past perfect continuous, first of all, we must have had. For past perfect and past perfect continuous tenses, both, you must have had. It is necessary to have the auxiliary had, H-A-D. Okay. Because he had been working today, probably not. Probably yesterday or earlier. Okay.
Okay.
It's got to be, because remember, this continuous action, this is the green line, it has to be something in the past, which is before he was tired, is the blue thing, the blue X here. All right. He was working. It has to be somehow you have to make sure it's obvious it's in the past. Okay, Ming. Give it a try.
Mm, I became fluent in English because I had been learning learning it for many years.
Okay. I had become fluent in English. Had become. Hmm. Okay. Had. Okay. Become fluent in English because I had been studying for many years. Okay. Ah, okay. All right. I was a little confused because of had, but this is your main verb. Had become fluent, blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
But this main verb, what is this tense? What do you think this is?
Present perfect.
Present perfect?
Past verb. Past verb.
Simple past.
It is simple past, actually. This is confusing. It is confusing. Confused me, actually. I was thinking it looks like past perfect, which wouldn't make sense because that would put the result, the blue X, if you use past perfect, it must come before any other action in the sentence. Otherwise, you can't use past perfect tense. So I had become fluent. This is tricky because I had been studying. And yes, of course, you still have to have the duration.
So you can't say became?
It's okay. Hang on, let me. I became fluent. Yes, you can. It's okay. This is okay. You know what you have here? It seems very, very weird. It seems like it may be it's an illusion. It looks like it could be past perfect, but you know what this is? You're actually using simple past with an infinitive verb. I had to become fluent, but in this case, it's one of the infinitives where we don't use to. It's called a bare infinitive. In reality, become, the way you have it here, is actually an infinitive verb. You're using it to describe. You're basically using it as an adjective. All right. So it's actually okay. And yes, you could scrap the whole deal and just write became. Absolutely. You could just change it to became. Simple past. I became fluent because either way. Okay. A little tricky there because it's hard to see that infinitive because there's no to. That's called a bare infinitive, by the way. Sometimes we use verbs as an infinitive, but we're not allowed to have to. And become is one of those verbs where we do that often. So you see become as a bare infinitive a lot. Okay. Let's talk about past continuous versus past perfect continuous. If you do not include a duration, 5 minutes, 2 weeks, since Friday, whatever, many English speakers would probably choose to use past continuous rather than past perfect continuous. But the thing is, you can do this in some cases and really end up with the same meaning, or quite possibly you may change the actual meaning of the sentence. Remember, all continuous tenses, okay, the present, past, future continuous, as well as the perfect continuous tenses, all of them, we use them in English to emphasize duration, emphasize length of time, and also to emphasize, past perfect continuous, okay, past continuous, they all emphasize duration, all right? Past continuous, however, can emphasize interrupted actions. All right, we use past continuous. I was running when a dog tripped me. Okay, the dog tripped me is the interrupting action. So you're changing the emphasis of the sentence. In the past perfect, I had been running when the dog tripped me. Okay, what's the difference? I was running when the dog tripped me. Okay, past continuous. The emphasis is on the fact that my running was interrupted, and actually I had been running, and usually I'm going to have a time phrase, for 2 hours when the dog tripped me. I'm definitely thinking more about the time than the action. Okay, in case I'm not clear, let's look at a couple examples. Another cause and effect, result clause. He was tired because he was exercising so hard. All right, the sentence emphasizes that he was tired because he was exercising at that exact moment. This sentence says he's exercising at the same time that he's tired. All right? Same time. The tiredness is interrupting the fact that he's in the middle of exercising. He was tired because he had been exercising so hard. This suggests he's done. And it suggests he's done. It also suggests or emphasizes the length of time, period of time. It is possible he's still exercising here. For me, though, it kind of suggests he's possibly done. All right, so very subtle difference in meaning, very small difference, but usually probably wouldn't make any difference to the listener, but possibly it might. Okay. When we talk about all continuous tenses, always have to remember, again, non-continuous verbs and mixed verbs. Non-continuous verbs are verbs that just cannot be used with the ing form. They just can't. Many of them have to do with feeling, okay, hate, love, like. It is not really I was hating her for many years. No, I would have to change that. I hated her for many years. We just can't, we're not allowed to use continuous forms. Mixed verbs, much trickier. There's a bunch of them, and some of them are a little hard to deal with. All right, the verb have, for example, the verb to be, for example, is a mixed verb. In some situations, you can use have in a continuous form, and some you can't. I am having fun is, of course, perfectly natural. I am having a new car makes no sense. I have a new car. I have to revert. I can't use continuous tense, so instead of using present continuous, I revert back to simple present. I have a new car. Okay, belong is another. Okay, the motorcycle had been belonging to George for years before Tina bought it. This is not correct. You just can't do this. All right, belong. I am belonging to a club. No, I belong to a club. All right. The car was belonging to him. No, I think belong is in just plain, straight up non-continuous verb. Sometimes even myself, as a native speaker, I'd have to kind of mentally think about it. All right, belong. Can I actually use this in ing form? Not really. Of course, belongings is a noun. With an S on the end is a noun form. That's totally different. Doesn't actually belong in the conversation. I think belong is a straight up non-continuous verb. So I can't do that. The motorcycle had belonged to George for years before Tina bought it. I'm going to revert back. I'm just going to subtract continuous and use past perfect. This is a past perfect form. Had belonged. All right. So you need to be aware of that. There are definitely verbs that cannot be used in non-continuous or mixed verbs, which sometimes you can't. For example, the verb to be. Okay. I am being very happy. It doesn't really make sense. Okay. Just you'd use simple present tense. I am very happy. Okay. Next, adverb placement. All right. Okay, this is a little tricky because adverbs get placed everywhere. The problem is that the problem is that by moving them around, you change meaning. In this case, in this example, you had only been waiting there for a few minutes when she arrived. Okay, here's the proper placement after the first auxiliary verb for this adverb. Of course, what if I move it around? Let's see. Well, what if I put it here? Okay, what does this mean? Jonathan, only you had been waiting there for a few minutes when she arrived. What is the meaning of that? Jonathan, what do you think?
Yeah, teacher, could you repeat me the question?
Sure. Okay. All right. Let me start all over.
Okay.
Okay. This is the normal placement of the adverb. It precedes. It comes in front of the main verb. In a case where you have double auxiliaries, it's going to follow the first auxiliary. Now, what I was saying is, you will see these adverbs can be moved around, but the problem is it might change the meaning. For example, what does this mean, Jonathan? Only you had been waiting there for a few minutes.
That means that I only wait for one person.
One person.
A couple of minutes, yeah.
That's right. One person, only you. That's exactly correct. Okay.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now, all right. What if? Let's cut this out. How about if I put it over here? You might see it over here. You had been waiting there for only a few minutes. Does that change the meaning? You had only been waiting there for a few minutes. You have been waiting there for only a few minutes. Pretty much the same. Okay.
Yes, I think that now change the meaning of the sentence.
Okay. All right. You had been waiting there for a few minutes. Okay. What if we moved it to the end of the clause? A few minutes only when she arrived. Well, it adds emphasis to only, like it's not a big deal. This slightly changes the meaning. But, okay. It gets a little tricky. And the other problem is moving the adverbs around. That's really a whole nother class. It is pretty much generally always okay to put an adverb in front of a verb. Pretty much always. In the front of the sentence, in the end of the sentence, it depends. So maybe it's right many times, it's not always right. Okay, had you only been waiting there for a few minutes? Okay, well. Okay, and it can change the meaning. All right, last thing here. Very bizarre a little bit. Passive forms, active and passive. All verb tenses all of them, have active and passive forms. All right, no matter what. It's just when you get into more complicated past perfect or future perfect continuous, it gets a little weird and a lot more unlikely that you would hear passive forms. Okay, active versus passive. All right, Chef Jones is the subject. Had been preparing. Okay. Object, the restaurant's fantastic dinners. Here's our duration for 2 years. And our connective, before he moved to Paris. All right, very good. Classic, past perfect, continuous, active form. Okay. Now, changing it around, we make a passive, we use passive construction or the passive form when we don't really care about Chef Jones anymore. It's kind of irrelevant. We use passive when it's obvious who did the action, when it just plain doesn't matter who does the action, or maybe it's, yeah, well, there you go. Maybe it's already stated, so it doesn't need to be said again. All right, the restaurant's fantastic dinners had been being, notice the addition of being in the ing form, prepared. Okay, past participle form. All right, had been being prepared by Chef Jones for 2 years before he moved to Paris. All right. Okay. So that's the passive form. Obviously, it's a little weird to even. I guess this is a pretty good example. This actually kind of makes sense. So there will be times when these passive forms will actually be kind of logical. Much more likely to see these, actually any passive, but especially more complicated passive with complex verb tenses. Much more likely to see this in written material than spoken. Definitely, 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 for sure. Kind of unlikely to hear passive forms with future and past perfect continuous, although this one's quite logical. Okay, just for the fun of it, let's using this as a kind of a model, as an example. Let's try making a passive past perfect continuous. Woo! Sentence. Ming, can you give it a whirl?
Okay. The company's customer service had been being done mostly by foreign contractors for since the beginning of the firm.
Okay. Very good. Okay. The company's, oops, customer service had been being done by foreign contractors since the beginning of the firm. This is very good. Perfect. Excellent. All right, we got our time frame since the beginning of the firm. That's clearly a duration. All right, perfect. Yeah, and this is actually a fairly logical place, a logical construction, actually, talking about, all right, talking about work responsibilities, processes. That's where you see passive tense. So actually this makes sense. Pretty good. Okay, Victor, you want to give it a try?
Yes. The bakery's delicious breads had been served by the owner before he retired.
Okay, you forgot something though. Had been. One more time.
Served?
Had been served. Okay, pronunciation. Served.
Served
Okay.
by the owner
Uh-huh.
before he retired.
Retired. Okay. Okay. Had been served. Okay. Had served. Yes. Okay. You see here that you actually have a passive past perfect. All right. Had. Okay. The delicious bread had been served by the owner before he retired, and there's nothing wrong with this. Okay, but if we want to make this continuous, we would need being. Had been being served, which which sounds a little weird. Um, you know, the way that you gave it to me actually would make a little more
Or
sense.
made. Could be made, right?
Had been being made.
Yeah, or no.
Yeah, that sounds more like a continuous action rather than served, because served is, that's where it gets a little weird. Where do you want to use a continuous tense or not? Do you want to use past perfect? Yeah, you have to think about, is that action conceived of as something that takes time, or you serve somebody. Hopefully, it doesn't take a whole lot of time. I hope not. The waitress was serving me for 3 hours. That would suck. To be blunt. Yeah, no one wants that. Okay. Angel, you want to give it a try?
Teacher, I have a question before.
Sure.
The fourth element we had been being in this case made for the last sentences. The word made or the verb it has to be a verb in past.
The made and done, is that what you're referring to?
Yeah. Well, can I say I have been being the best student the last semester, the last year.
Okay. Let's look at it. Let's talk about it. Whoops. Being like a bee. Bzz. I had been being the best student.
The best student the last 2 semesters or the last year, whatever.
Okay. No, I had been being the best student, and here's why. Now you're using this. First of all, yeah, this is weird. I had been being Ben. Wow, that is totally weird. Had been being Ben won't make sense. In this case, I was being the best student. Guess what? Now we run into our problem with mixed verbs. The verb to be is sometimes a mixed verb. You cannot use being this way. I was being a champion. Yeah, I was a champion. You can't use continuous.
Okay.
I will be being in the future. I will be being the best student in the class. No, 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 no. You have to just say, I will be the best student in the class. So,
Okay.
no, doesn't work.
Okay, it was just a question. Okay,
Sure.
my example were my my homeworks. My last two homeworks had been being made by my girlfriend. Oh, yeah, it's
Well,
right.
well, well.
It's right. Is
Yeah,
it right?
yeah. Hang on. I messed up, but had been being made, probably done.
Okay,
You
done.
do. Okay, the verb do goes with homework. You do actually work, any work. Excuse me. You do a project, you do your work, you do your
Okay.
chores, you do your homework. My last two homeworks had been being done by my GF. All right. Okay. My last two homeworks. Okay, first of all, do you see the red line here? Dun, dun, dun. Okay. You can't do this. You know why? Because homework, this is very important, homework is uncountable. All right? So there's no such
Okay.
thing as homeworks. That word does not exist in the English language. So you cannot say, I have 3 homeworks. Impossible. It must be, for example, homework assignments.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
okay, now the other, okay, had been being done. Now this is still a little odd. Had been being done by my girlfriend. Do I need to say have? Do I need to make this present? Have been being done?
Uh,
Hmm.
I, I, I think it's in the past.
It's in the past? Okay.
Yeah, because the homework assignments, uh, I I
We're
give
already,
the
okay.
homework the
All right.
oh in
Because
the
you have,
past.
I see, because you have last here, right?
Yeah.
That sort of
Uh-huh.
indicates that these are done already in the past. All right. This is tough, but okay, I'll give this to you. It's tough because there's no actual duration here other than last. There's no, what is the kind of, where and oh, what is the interrupting action? Where's the time in the past? We have to assume a couple things here. We have to assume that the actual handing in of the homework assignment is the blue X, the interrupting action, and we have to assume that it takes time to do a homework assignment. Okay, had been being done. Okay, we're assuming that takes time. Okay,
Okay.
possible, but this is a little awkward because there's a little. We have to make a lot of assumptions to make this make sense.
I
Had been
think.
being done. For me, it makes a lot more sense to in present perfect. Have been being done by my girlfriend. That makes a lot more sense to me all of a sudden. I don't have to infer anything. That means up to now, your last 2 homework assignments were done by your girlfriend. That makes a lot more sense.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Uh, yeah, because there's nothing like up until the midterm exam, my last 2 homework assignments had been being done by my girlfriend. There, now that would make sense. Up until the midterm exam, my last 2 homework assignments had been being done by my girlfriend. There. Now that would make sense. Because now I have a very clear indication of what came first.
Okay.
Okay, Jonathan. Basically, Angel and everyone, basically the idea is use time references, time phrases, time clauses as much as you can to elucidate, illuminate, to make it clear why you're using the verb tense as you are. do not be shy of time phrases and time references in your speaking or writing of English. It actually really helps clarify. Okay, actually, sorry, Jonathan. In reality, we are out of time here, ladies and gentlemen. Although there's no ladies, gentlemen. My apologies. Gentlemen, we're out of time, and I have to start another class, so I have got to go. Thank you very much.
Thank you, teacher. Bye.
See you again soon. All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks.